Hello, welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I am your host, Dane Waters, and that was a very interesting conversation we just had, um, dealing with talking about the stolen children of Ukraine and what's going on with the peace discussions. Well, now we are going to a different continent. We're going to Africa, to Kenya, and we have Barrack Muluka. Is that right? How are you, sir? Good morning.
That's correct. My name is Barrack Muluka, and I'm very happy to join you, Dan, and the rest of the panel. Thank you.
Well, thank you. And so, Barack, tell us some more about you know, the topic of our conversation was the political reality in Kenya. But before we do that, give us a little background about you and your involvement in politics in Kenya.
Well, basically, I'm a political commentator. I've been involved within the media space for about 42 years, from 1983, when I graduated from the University of Nairobi, and I started working in broadcasting. I've been there all this time, working also for the print media. But I also dabble a little bit with the political space. As we speak just now, I'm Secretary General of one of the new parties called the Democratic National Alliance. We style it as DNA because we think that the country is in dire need of a new DNA. Thank you.
Well, that's very interesting. So where do you think? How would you describe the political situation in Kenya? Do you think it's stable, unstable, corrupt, not corrupt? I mean, give us kind of a feel about what's going on there.
It is certainly stable in the sense that we do not have any active violent conflict. We have been witness to demonstrations, especially by the youth who are desirous of a new order, and even other progressives within the country leaning towards the civil space activities by way of demos. And of course, there's been each time a heavy clampdown by the state. But beyond that, I think we can say that there is a stability, there's a healthy public and political debate talking about corruption, none other than the President Dr. William Ruto. He is himself ventilating and is talking about corruption within Parliament. He's saying that almost every decision that the parliamentarians seem to make requires that they must first be paid by somebody before they can make a decision one way or the other. And of course, State House itself is complicit in this matter, because since Dr. William Ruto became president after the August 2022 elections, there has been mobilization and whipping of the legislature at State House, which is completely unprecedented, and that within that framework, they are usually cautioned that they must vote in a particular way, and without a doubt, there is also some material inducement that goes to them. So corruption, there is, and I think it starts at the very top.
Yeah, definitely. Corruption is a problem, rampant. I wouldn't even say just in Africa; it's across the world. I mean, most of the countries, they have some form of corruption, and it's really a disservice to the people, especially in countries that financially are having a very difficult time. So, what are the people? I mean, do you think that the people are outraged at what's going on? Do you think that they want change? I mean, by the way, when are the next elections in Kenya?
The next elections in Kenya are set to take place in August 2027, to be very precise, on the 10th of August 2027, because the Constitution of Kenya spells out the elections timetable in a very precise and measurable manner, and therefore the next election will be on the 10th of August 2027. 27, just under 2 years from now, talking about the people they obtain in a contradictory reality. Contradictory in the sense that Kenyans, by and large, would like a responsible and accountable government, but they are not averse to receiving election-related inducement from the political fraternity. That just now, President William Ruto, being very aware of that reality, has mounted a campaign that he calls an empowerment program, and politicians who are affiliated to him are romping the countryside, carrying huge loads of money, which they dish out to participants at political rallies for no specific purpose beyond the tag of empowerment. And strictly speaking, that is voter treatment in advance. It's also true that some of those people close to the president have been saying that he will invariably have a second term. They've been making pronouncements to the effect that if he does not have sufficient ballot papers in his favor in the ballot box, then they will find a way of stuffing the boxes and blowing up the numbers in his favor. So I think there is a sense in which we could be preparing for some kind of political apocalypse in that regard.
Well, then how do political parties like the one that you are the Secretary General of, I mean, how do you compete in such an environment? I mean, how do you make a difference?
We continue to engage the public in civic education because such pronouncements must be condemned and be condemned very strongly. We continue to send signals to the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, getting them to be reminded of the fate that befell earlier commissioners who are complicit in election fraud by way of tampering with the outcome. There was the Kivuitu Elections Commission, which in 2007 presided over what was easily the most chaotic presidential election in the country. We ended up sinking into post-election violence. We had to bring in international good Samaritans to help to salvage the situation. And in the end, that particular commission was completely embarrassed and completely vilified, and it had to be sent home. And Kivuitu himself, Sami Kivuitu, never really recovered from the aftermath. I think he must have sunk into a depression that ended in him dying and being buried rather ingloriously. Then there have been two subsequent commissions, one led by Isaac Hassan, and afterwards with Wafula Wanyonyi Chebukati, who died last year, an ignominious individual in an ignominious corner associated with William Ruto victory, which many, including Raila Amolo Odinga of the Orange Democratic Movement, who was his main competitor, but who now rather strangely is in a political amity with William Ruto in what they are calling a broad-based government. So the progressive voices must keep on occupying that space and reminding the electorate and other relevant authorities that choices will usually have bad consequences. It's not necessarily true that there would be any planned action against them that degenerates into violence, but you can see the mood of the country. You can see there's a rising of the youth and the youth uprising in the country cannot be taken for granted. Any attempts to steal the election could end up being quite disastrous.
Well, I've seen that there's been a lot of effort in Kenya to re-engage or to engage the youth in the political process. I mean, do you see that the youth are the future of the country politically, that they are the ones who can kind of change things?
The Kenyan youth are styling themselves up not just as the future, but also as the present. They are saying they are tired of being told that they are the future leaders. And certainly last year, they mounted a very spirited protest against an unpopular finance bill, leading President William Ruto to withdraw that bill altogether. And they have continued to organize mainly online for protest. They've been, if you want, what you could call cyber-based protests, and those cyber-based protests did not fail to attract the attention of the establishment. And we had State House and the government of Kenya under President William Ruto responding rather violently outside the cyberspace. They would look for those who are protesting in cyberspace and mete out attrition against them within the physical space. But now we are seeing that the youth are returning into the physical space, having their conversations online, but coming back to the terrestrial space to begin organizing and mobilizing for 2027. And certainly the party where I am Secretary General is encouraging the youth to come forth in their big numbers. As a much more mature and elder individual, I see myself as playing the role of coach and mentor rather than that of a political competitor who would ordinarily be offering himself for consideration for some elected political office. I think there must be people who think about the future that we want, the tomorrow we want. So people who imagine a new Kenya, people who remember where Kenya was and who try to salvage that which was good in the past and use the past to reconstruct the present for a better tomorrow.
Do you see that the foreign actors like Russia or China are trying to actively influence elections in the country or the electoral politics of the country?
At this moment, I would not exactly say that that is happening, but of course, most of the time when these things do happen, they tend to happen behind the scenes. They are very much background activities whose presence would usually get to be known about only in futuristic contexts. But beyond that, I think it's true that in Africa especially, and I suspect everywhere else in the world, there will always be external interest groups, external powers, be they political, be they commercial, that are interested and would be looking at the key protagonists within that space and who try to influence the outcome. It has been said in this country, and there's cause to believe that it is true, that some of those powers and forces will in fact engage both sides of the main competitors for high office. They put their bets on everybody, and those bets also go with some material support. But for now, I cannot really place a finger on anybody, be they Russia, be they in China, be they the United States in NATO or whatever. I cannot say surely with any significant evidential value that there are specific authorities and interest groups that have already shown their hand.
Well, we have a minute left, but just a quick question. I mean, you're a political commentator. You understand the globe. I have to ask you that, how do you feel about U.S. politics and how the U.S. is dealing with Africa these days?
I think the United States is in what some political scientists have called a power transition space. And the power transition space would usually be a space within which a dominant nation in the world is worried that there could be others who are trying to occupy that space. Since the late 90s, the United States has been in a unipolar context, and the emergence of the BRIC nations, and especially that of China as the apparent de facto leader there, perhaps with Russia, is a matter of primary concern to the United States. But I think that President Donald Trump style of making almost everyone an adversary might in the long run not work too well for the United States. It tends to get everybody else to agglutinate together in the face of that nation that then gets to be perceived as a common foe. They may want to get back to their drawing boards and review their America First approach, a rather aggressive Trump doctrine that perhaps requires further processing and interrogation and perhaps variation before they can re-engage meaningfully with the rest of the global community.
Well, listen, Barrack, it's been a pleasure. I appreciate your words, and Kenya is it's a beautiful place. I've been there many times. I love it, and good luck with all your efforts there. And thanks for being on the show.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for being with Dane Waters today for Around the World with Dane Waters, and we look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks a lot.